Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
Today we're talking about dating and economics and how these two things make this synergy to create a dating market. So it's a huge correlation between how the economic situation is on any given territory and also how dating match with that as well. And of course there are some social and cultural factors that inflicts on the dating dynamics, but today we're talking about how economics affect the dating market every place of the world. I'm gonna go a little bit further specifying Venezuela. So let's start. Well, this is not a psychology channel, but I'm gonna use a little bit of evolutionary psychology in order to explain my point. What happened is in evolution is that in order men and females, males and females have a different strategy. Men usually are regarded as the key component of creating resources, infrastructure. So as long as a man has more value acquiring resources, land, territory, and of course creating value to society, is gonna experience a better mate selection of females. So by the other hand, you have females that of course they have the responsibility to bear children, and by that hand their survival relies upon choosing the best mate possible, and usually the best mate possible is the person who is more valuable, has more resources, has more skills in order to of course create more wealth. So that's why usually women are attracted to rich men, because right now currency, assets, financial assets, wealth is the indicator that you are a valuable man. It is what it is, and sounds badly. Doesn't matter if you are you inherit all of your wealth, or you are a drug dealer, or you are a lottery ticket winner, whatever might be the case. That of course there are a bunch of social factors regarding that, but just for the sake of the economic conversation, yeah, status is the most important. Your wealth and your status is the most important thing in order to be more successful on the dating scene. Very good with that. So what happens is women, regarding wherever you live, women are going to be attracted to the people with the highest status and the higher wealth creation ability. Very good. So what happens, depending on the economy, when you have an economy, of course, women, I'm not saying they're gold diggers or anything like that. What I'm saying is you need to reach certain economic threshold in order to be attractive to females, and women are satisfied until certain threshold. There are many sociological studies that you need, after you make certain income, after that your measured levels of happiness doesn't increase. And the experiment is replicated in the US and many parts of the world. Very good. Now, what happens is when you have rich nations, I'm going to say the OECD nations, when you reach certain threshold of survival, you have food, shelter, education, some leisure and discretionary consumer purchasing power. After that, the gap between the rich and poor starts to narrow. I'm talking the successful and the unsuccessful males during the dating scene, it starts to narrow. Very good. What happens is on less developed nations, less developed economies, like in Latin America, like maybe in Asia or Eastern Europe, is that women are very attracted, are more prone to be attracted to men that have better socioeconomic status. So what happens, and the other thing that you have to consider about females is that they don't work. Women usually, most of women don't have this particular ability of critical thinking, individual critical thinking. Women work on a herd, the females, so they work on a herd mentality. So usually they are trying to analyze each in any female on their environment and the mates that they are choosing with, choosing to mate with. So what happens is, particularly on these less developed economies, is that they choose the guys with the most status, with the most, they're wealthier, the wealthier status. So usually on these countries, the people who are richer are corrupt politicians, are drug dealers, are athletes, and in some cases empresarios that inherit the means of production in order to become rich on the first place. Very good. So on that part, women are amoral. They don't choose on good morals. They choose on resources, regardless if they come from a good place or not. So it is what it is. The other thing that happens is just a handful of males that they have the resources, usually on the less economic nations, they have accumulated these resources, and the rest of the males are poor or lower middle class and so on and so on. So usually they concentrate the most women. Very good. So what happens is when you come from abroad and you have a very good, reasonable socioeconomic position, you're going to have an easier opportunity in order to make selection on those underdeveloped economies. And that's what the passport bros movement is taking advantage of, so very good for them. But the main takeaway here is that usually women are going to go to the richest person, and usually on the less developed economies, they're not choosing the average individual on those economies, because women have this characteristic, this psychological characteristic that is called hypergamy. Women only choose partners, choose their mates, when they have a higher socioeconomic status. So if you have a now this is applied to Venezuela. When you have a higher socioeconomic status, you're going to have a better mate selection, and that's basically what happens here in Venezuela. And also you have to take into account that in Venezuela we have been blessed of having first natural beautiful women, and the second, women they know how to enhance their physical beauty, and that's why we have a great dating scene on the country.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again, and have a nice day.